What's up guys, David Sherwack here. Today I'm back with another NBA video. In this one, I don't know if you guys have seen these, but there's these like start, bench, cut things on Instagram that this page posts. So I'm going to be doing that in this video. NBA start, bench, cut. I have to choose one player to start on my team, one player who I would bench, and one player who I would cut. So this is probably going to make some people mad, but we're gonna hop right into it. Which one should I start with? I got them all saved here, the ones that I wanna go through. I'm gonna start with this one here. For this one, we have Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox, and CJ McCollum. For me, this one's pretty easy. For the starting, I'm definitely gonna start Jason Tatum. He's definitely the best, I think, out of these three on both ends of the floor. Offensively, you could argue CJ might be a little bit better than Tatum, but defensively, Tatum is like well above CJ McCollum, and Tatum's proving that he's looking like he's gonna be a superstar in the league. So I'm definitely gonna start Jason Tatum. He's young, he plays defense, he's great on the offensive side of the ball, and he can score really any way. He's got that mid-range game, he can shoot the three. Offensively, like I said, CJ and Tatum are kind of close, but Tatum's defense is really what puts him over the top over CJ. And the really tough one, actually it's really not that tough who I want to bench. I think I'm going to bench CJ and I'm going to cut De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox really hasn't proved offensively that he can carry a team. Defensively, De'Aaron Fox is a little bit better than CJ. CJ really isn't that great on the defensive side of the ball. Him and Dame, that backcourt isn't great defensively, but CJ's a more seasoned veteran. His offensive game is more refined than De'Aaron Fox's. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox is younger, so he has time to work on that, but I'm definitely going to bench CJ. I just think he's a better player overall than De'Aaron Fox. So yeah, I'm going to start Jason Tatum, bench CJ McCollum, and cut De'Aaron Fox. That one wasn't that tough. Let's move on to this one right here. We got Jarrett Allen, Domantas Sabonis, and Clint Capella. Now this one also isn't the hardest. I'm obviously going to start Sabonis. Sabonis was an all-star this year, leading to the Pacers to the 5th or 6th seed right now, with Victor Oladipo out. He's got a great offensive game, great rebounder. And the other two guys here are kind of more one-dimensional centers. You got Clint Capella, he'll just be catching lobs in the paint, blocking shots, grabbing rebounds. Same with Jarrett Allen, really good shot blocker, but offensively he's not really there yet. So the starting position is easy. Obviously I'm going to start Sabonis. Now, who do I want to bench is the question. I think I'm going to bench Capella and I'm going to cut Jarrett Allen. Capella's just proven that he can do more in the league. Obviously, Jarrett Allen's younger, but Capella was great on those Houston Rocket teams, catching lobs from James Harden. And yeah, he's a good defender. Jarrett Allen's also a good interior defender, good shot blocker, but I just think Capella is a better overall player compared to Jarrett Allen, so I'm going to bench Capella, cut Jarrett Allen, and start Domantas Sabonis. So that one wasn't that tough. Now this one's kind of a weird one. We have DeMar DeRozan, Victor Oladipo, and Ben Simmons. I'm assuming this is Victor Oladipo when he's completely healthy. Obviously, he was struggling since he came back from his injury. So I'm assuming we're taking fully healthy Victor Oladipo. Now this one's the starting job, honestly, I love DeMar. I love what he did with the Raptors, but I'm going to start Ben Simmons. Obviously, we know he can't shoot, but he's a great defender. Honestly, I think his defense is underrated by a lot of people. He could be in defensive player. I think he should be in defensive player of the year in that race. He's a great defender. He can guard pretty much 1 through 5. He's really switchable. So, and honestly, his offensive side of the ball, obviously it's not where you want it to be with his shooting, but he can attack the rim. He's great in the paint. So his offense really isn't that bad. And he has a high motor. He plays with a lot of energy. So I'm going to start Ben Simmons. Now it's between DeMar and Vic, who I want to cut. or who I want to bench. See, DeMar's game is obviously a little bit outdated with all the mid-ranges he takes. Vic's a way better three-point shooter, of course. Vic's Vic's a better defender, I'd say. This one kind of hurts, but when they're fully healthy, I know DeMar has more experience. DeMar's got more accolades and stuff like that, but I'm going to take a fully healthy Victor Oladipo over DeMar DeRozan. That kind of hurts to say, but if we're considering offense and defense here, I think Vic is the better player. He fits today's NBA a lot better. With his three-point shooting, he can still attack the basket and create his own shot. So, and he's a good defender too. So, yeah, that one kind of hurts, but I'm going to start Ben Simmons. The starting is easy. Start Ben Simmons, bench Victor Oladipo, and cut DeMar DeRozan. DeMar I love him, but he doesn't really fit today's NBA, so that one kind of hurts a little bit. Let's move on to this one here with another Raptor. DeMar, obviously a former Raptor. This one's a little bit old, that's why they're in their old jerseys, CB3 and Mike Conley. But we're going to take current Mike Conley, of course, current Chris Paul, current Kyle Lowry. Okay, the cutting is easy. I'm obviously going to cut Mike Conley. It's just starting between Chris Paul and Kyle Lowry. This one's really tough. As you guys know, I'm a Raptors fan, so I really want to start Kyle Lowry. Oh, Kyle Lowry's a great... Let's really think about this. Kyle Lowry or Chris Paul. Obviously, they're both high basketball IQ point guards. They're winning players. Both are great defenders. I feel like Chris Paul might be the slightly better defender. Offensively, Chris Paul is a little bit better at creating his own shot. He's got that mid-range game. He can shoot the three. Kyle Lowry's just a bulldog out there, taking charges, getting deflections, stuff like that, getting steals. This one's really tough. Oh, I don't know. Oh my gosh, this is hard, bro. Chris Paul leading the Thunder to a really good season, but Kyle Lowry too. Both were all-stars this year. You know what? This might be a little bit biased, but I'm going to take the one-time NBA champion. I'm going to start Kyle Lowry and bench Chris Paul, obviously cut Mike Conley. I know Kyle Lowry won that chip because obviously Kawhi was there, but Chris Paul really hasn't done it in the playoffs yet, so I'm just going to take Kyle Lowry. They're both good defenders. They're both pretty good offensively. They're both great leaders to their team. I'm going to take Kyle Lowry for this one. Honestly, you could switch out those two really easily. They're really close in my opinion. So yeah, start Kyle Lowry, bench Chris Paul, and cut Mike Conley. If we're talking about who's had a better career overall, then I would start Chris Paul. Chris Paul's obviously had a better career than Kyle Lowry. But as of right now, I'm going to take Lowry over Chris Paul. All right, let's move into... I'm going to save the best two for last. Let's move into this one. This is Brandon Ingram, Lowry Markkanen, and Jalen Brown. Okay, so I think the cut is pretty easy on this one. If we were talking last year, it might be a little bit more difficult because Brandon Ingram just broke out this year. Same kind of with Jalen Brown, and Lowry Markkanen wasn't that bad last year, but the cut is pretty easy. I'm going to cut Lowry Markkanen. He's really not on the same level as these other two. He's had injuries this season, but he's also just been kind of disappointing for the Bulls this season. The Bulls, just as a team, have been disappointing this season. So I'm going to cut Lowry Markkanen. He hasn't really been what the Bulls want him to be. His defense isn't great. He hasn't had a good season. So I'm going to cut him. The question is, do I start Jalen Brown or Brandon Ingram? Okay, I thought this one was going to be hard, but I'm actually going to start Brandon Ingram. He was an all-star this year, obviously having a breakout year. He could win Most Improved, although I think that's probably going to go to Bam. He is averaging better numbers than Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown is contributing to a winning team. However, the Celtics are third in the East. The Pelicans are fighting for that 8th spot. They haven't been good this year. So Jalen Brown has been contributing to wins. Jalen Brown also had a breakout season this year. could have been an all-star. I think if he continues to progress, he'll probably be an all-star next year, averaging 20 points per game this year. And but I'm gonna take Brandon Ingram, the one-time all-star this year. I think he's just a little bit better offensively, creating his own shot. And yeah, I'm gonna take the Slim Reaper, Brandon Ingram. So that one actually wasn't that tough. Let's do this one. This one's kind of tough, actually really tough. This is Chris Paul. We already had one with Chris Paul, but prime Chris Paul with the New Orleans Hornets / LA Clippers, I guess you could say. Prime Derrick Rose and prime Russell Westbrook. Okay, this one is really tough. All were really great in their primes. This is tough. But okay, I'm gonna start prime Chris Paul. I think that's the easy part to this. Obviously, they didn't win a lot with those New Orleans Hornets teams, but he was a great point guard. One of the best point guards of all time, I think. He's gonna be on the assist leaderboards. He's just overall one of the best point guards of all time. So I feel like I have to start Chris Paul, great leader. Obviously not as athletic as Derrick Rose or Russell Westbrook, but his IQ, his decision making, it makes up for his lack of athleticism. Now the question is, do I start Derrick Rose or do I bench Derrick Rose or do I bench Russell Westbrook? See, prime D Rose only had a couple seasons of his best self. Obviously, he won that MVP. Both of them have won an MVP. Chris Paul hasn't, but we're just gonna ignore that. Let's not worry about Chris Paul right now. Derrick Rose had less years of his prime self. Obviously, that's not his fault. It was really just that injury that kind of derailed his career. Obviously, he's making a comeback, but yeah, I think both are athletic. Both are great attacking, finishing at the rim. I would say Russ is probably a better defender in his prime than Derrick Rose, slightly better defender. Chris Paul is obviously the best defender out of all these, I would say. I'm gonna bench Russell Westbrook, and I'm gonna cut Derrick Rose. This is probably making a lot of Derrick Rose fanboys really mad right now. But it's just, I feel like that's facts. Like, Russ has had more years of success, and obviously it's not Derrick Rose's fault that he had that injury, but that's just the reality. Now Russ hasn't really had success on his own in terms of winning. I can't speak. He did make it to the finals, but that was with KD, Harden, the whole group, and he hasn't made it out of the first round, leading the team by himself. But this man, like, people hate on Russell Westbrook so much. I used to be one of them, but honestly, this man averaged a triple-double for 3 straight seasons. Like, that's insane. And he was doing great this year. With that small ball lineup, man was putting up insane scoring numbers. On a team with James Harden too. Like, so yeah, I'm gonna bench Russell Westbrook. Obviously none of these guys have rings, but yeah, I feel like Russ has had the better career overall. And in their prime, I feel like Russ is the better player than Derrick Rose. So yeah, let's move on to the last two here. I'm gonna save that one for last. I'm gonna do the current, I would say these are probably the top 3 players that most people would have in their top 3 right now. We have LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers, Kawhi Leonard of the Clippers, and Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Bucks. I don't know why I said their teams, but why not? All right. Obviously, I'm a huge Kawhi fan for what he did in Toronto last year, but I'm gonna try and do this completely unbiased right now. See, this one's tough. This one's really tough. If we're talking MVP, I think Giannis has the MVP locked up, personally, in my opinion. Kawhi really isn't a regular season performer. He really just turns it on in the playoffs. LeBron does that also, but he didn't make the playoffs last year. Kawhi was the best player in the playoffs last year. This is tough. This is real tough. Okay, I'm probably going to make some people mad with this, but I'm going to go... This is completely unbiased, too. This is completely unbiased. This is purely what I think, and I think you really have to take into account what happened in the playoffs last year. I think people focus too much on the regular season and not enough on the playoffs. So I'm going to start Kawhi Leonard. I'm going to bench LeBron James, and I'm going to cut Giannis Antetokounmpo. Kawhi obviously had a great run last year with the Raptors. One of the greatest postseason runs, the third most single points in a playoff run in NBA history, leading the Raptors past, obviously, an injured Warriors team, but it's still a great team, past the Bucks, past this guy, Giannis, past a great Philly team, leading the Raptors to their first championship. So I think we really have to consider that. I see lots of people not putting Kawhi number one as the best players in the world, but I think he deserves it. I think last year in the playoffs, he showed when it really matters who you want on your team, and who you want on your team is Kawhi Leonard. The best defender, I think, out of these three. Giannis is obviously great on that interior defense. He's a great perimeter defender too, but I think overall defense, Kawhi is the best defender on this list. Maybe not the best offensive player, but overall who you want to contribute wins to your team, who you want in Game 7 of an NBA playoff game. I want Kawhi Leonard out of these three. That's just me, but yeah, I'm going to bench LeBron because LeBron has also showed that when he makes it to the playoffs, he can turn it on, carrying the Cavs to the finals in that 2018 year. And yeah, he's had a great season this year, running for MVP. So I'm going to bench LeBron. Giannis just really hasn't shown that he can do it in the playoffs yet. He got shut down by Kawhi Leonard. So I'm going to cut Giannis. Obviously, he's having a great season. It really depends what happens if we see the playoffs this year. It depends what happens in the playoffs this year. Giannis could overtake Kawhi or LeBron, but he's got to do it in the playoffs. I think if Giannis were to win a championship this year, I think he's obviously going to be the best player in the world. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. So I'm starting Kawhi, benching LeBron, cutting Giannis. I feel like lots of people are going to get mad at that, but there's not even that many people who watch these videos, so whatever. Let's move into the last one here. We have three GOATs. We have arguably three of the top 5 players in the world. We have the top 2 right here. I think MJ and LeBron are universally regarded as probably the top 2 players. So we have MJ, Kobe, and LeBron. I'm going to start MJ. MJ is obviously the GOAT. That's just what I think. 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, 6-0 in the finals. Part of probably, the greatest team of all time, the Bulls, during those years. And yeah, I'm going to start MJ, a complete assassin. I don't really need to say much about him. Great defender, great offensive player. And I think this one actually isn't that tough. I'm going to bench LeBron and I'm going to cut Kobe. I think that's the most logical order. You could change LeBron and Jordan. Lots of people say LeBron is the GOAT, but I think Jordan's the GOAT. So I'm going to start Jordan, bench LeBron, cut Kobe. Rest in peace, Kobe, of course, but I think he's definitely not the best player out of these three. LeBron, definitely LeBron's the second best player of all time. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully I didn't make too many people mad with these. I feel like the most controversial one is probably this one, the Kawhi one. Maybe this one too, the Lowry, CP3, Mike Conley. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to watch The Last Dance today. I'm super hyped to check it out. It just came out in Canada on Netflix, so I'm going to check that out. Speaking of Jordan, and I feel like that's going to even strengthen or solidify my opinion even more that MJ is the GOAT. So I'm hyped to check that out. Thank you guys for watching this NBA video. If this is the first video you're watching of me, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe. I'm going to be doing more NBA videos. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know your opinions down below out of these ones I picked. And yeah, make sure to go leave a like, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Bye.